Good morning to those who are gathered here in the sanctuary and to all who are joining online today. We begin our service with a musical prelude by John Mayhood. Thank you, John. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Tori Goodlow. My pronouns are she, her, and I am pleased to be weaving worship this morning with Rev. Tim Temerson, Rev. Susan Carlson, accompanist John Mayhood, and hymn leader Georgina Todd. This sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on the homeland of the Monacan people and was once cared for by enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who have dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering. I invite us to take a moment to greet others. Those online may unmute and say hello, and those here in the sanctuary or social hall are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Good
morning.
Good to see you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hope everyone's able to get some sunshine today.
Yes. We're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it's sunny here today. Cold.
I wondered if you might be on the move today. Yeah.
Well, we're not. We flew back from the trip just to be here for the week.
Cool.
But we'll be there for Easter.
Okay. Well, we're going to flop with you. We're going up to Princeton to see my parents.
Oh.
What trip were you on? Where did you go this time?
We've been in a camper van. We went down to Florida and then across to Louisiana and then north to Arkansas, then to
We offer a special welcome to newcomers and invite you to join us for fellowship after the service in the social hall. Please feel free to use one of our red coffee mugs, which are for newcomers, and UUCville members and friends are reminded to offer a warm welcome to anyone with a red mug. We also invite newcomers to stop by the connections table near the monitor in the social hall to learn more about us. Seating is also available in the social hall where there is a live stream of the service. Everyone is welcome in the sanctuary, but if you need a roomier space, the social hall can be a good option. Many thanks to all the folks helping us share worship both here and online, our greeters, ushers, and hospitality and logistics team, and special thanks to our AV tech, Rachel Buckland, supporting the dual platform both online and here on Rugby Road. And now we have greetings from board member Haley Owens.
Or maybe I'll be more in the middle. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's such a beautiful morning. And look, you all are here. It's amazing. We're inside together, and I hope those who are on Zoom are outside. This past month, I have just loved taking part of some of the stakeholder conversations for the long-term plan. It has filled me with so much inspiration to hear about how our community envisions our future. And let me tell you, and you all know this, we are such a passionate group of people, caring, creative. There are so many great ideas, and I'm excited for how we take those and continue to grow together, and how we keep on opening up our arms to be more welcoming, nurturing, and helpful to our wider community. In the midst of our planning, we've also been wrapping up our pledge drive. And as of the website, it looks like we're at $430,000, just $130,000 shy of our $550,000 goal. So that's really amazing. It's an ambitious goal, and it's wonderful that we've gotten this far. Our pledges are such a critical way that we empower our community to live out the good work that we're doing and all that we dream to do. So excited about this. So because we're in our pledge drive month, I wanted to make an appeal to those of you who may be on the fence about pledging. Maybe you've never pledged before. And I want to encourage you to go ahead and make this commitment, no matter the amount. If you're a first-time pledger, this amount will be matched. What if you're not so sure about pledging this year? It's been a hard year for folks, both in the world and in our community. And I can understand that it could be feeling hard to commit this year. It can be hard to feel inspired. And so to you, I want to say, I feel you, and you are not alone. And I'm really glad you're here. If you're in this position, please just take some time to consider what amount would feel good to give. This is a congregation that is no means perfect, but we are committed to each other with great love and a belief in growing. It is an empowering and hopeful relationship to commit to. And I hope you can take that step this year. So with great love, welcome to church.
Thank you, Haley. Here are our announcements. This is tagging on to what Haley said. The 2024-2025 pledge drive is in the home stretch. Many thanks to everyone who has made a pledge, and I'm very happy to announce that we have received over $430,000 in pledges. The pledge drive ends next Sunday, and we have a ways to go to make our goal. If you have not submitted a pledge, please do so today after the service in the social hall near the balloons or on the church website, www.uucharlottesville.org. We are currently contacting everyone who pledged last year, but who has yet to submit a pledge. And right now that is about 80 individuals and families. If you are in that group, please make your pledge today or this week. If you are making your very first pledge or did not make a pledge last year, you can also make your pledge today after the service or visit the church website. Remember, the pledge drive ends next Sunday, so please get those pledges in. Join the Religious Education Committee right after church in the social hall to assemble hospital meal packets, which we donate to families when they come to this area for much needed medical care. We'll have everything you need to assemble the meal packets. Children and youth are welcome, as we will also have materials to make cards to share with the families. Today, Rev Tim will be hosting a new gathering called Afterwards, which will be an informal conversation about the Sunday service. Feel free to get your coffee and popcorn, make a meal packet, and then join Tim in the parlor at 12:30. Our congregation's youth are selling attractions coupon books in the social hall to support their upcoming service trip to repair homes in Appalachia through the Appalachian Service Project. The books cost $30. Purchases can be made at our table in the social hall. Next Sunday is Easter Sunday. The service will include beautiful music from the choir and a sermon about hope from Rev Tim. Following the service, we will host a fun fair. There will be an Easter egg hunt, as well as games, crafts, and activities on the labyrinth, weather permitting. Volunteer helpers are needed to facilitate games and activities. Contact Caroline Hines with questions or suggestions. There will also be a finger food and sandwich potluck in the social hall. Please bring finger sandwiches and other small food items, and we need meat, gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan options, as well as desserts. Please label all items. Volunteers are needed to set up and serve. Many of you who attended Freeman Allen's talk about the history of racism in Charlottesville last Sunday requested a copy of his book. Those books will be available for sale next Sunday for $10, cash or check. Finally, please feel free to join us for coffee conversation and a delicious potluck. No, that was
last week, yeah. By the way, that's my fault, not Tori's. So I didn't delete the word potluck out. So folks, our service today is kind of special. It's dedicated to the poetry and artistry of the late Mary Oliver. A number of you emailed me favorite Mary Oliver poems, and for our call to worship, we begin with the poem, The Summer Day, which was suggested by Margaret Migas. And I'm happy to say that the poem will be read by Mary Oliver herself. Please see the screen.
Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
As the Epp family lights the flame of our chalice this morning, please join me in saying our unison chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And now we will do our hand motions. Got the match in the matchbook. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism, This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is a church of loving hearts. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. The lyrics will be on the screen and Georgina will lead us.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts fall restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be my source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Time for All Ages. And I want to invite everyone who is a child or young at heart or the spirit to come down and to join me here for our story.
Come over here, guys. You can see Reverend Susan well. Come over here.
Hi, folks. It's good to see you all. Glad you're here today. And I want to start off with a question. Come on down. Come on down. Does anyone remember what Reverend Tim told us about several weeks ago? There was a special holiday, some holy days that happened this month and are still happening for Muslim folks. Yeah. Ramadan. That's right. Ramadan is happening. It happens from March 10th until April 9th this year. And so we're still celebrating that, or people who are Muslim are celebrating that. And it comes into this story because it's the location of our story. They are celebrating Ramadan in this story. So the story begins with a fellow named Mullah Nasruddin. And he is a Muslim religious leader. And he's been working in the fields all day long. And he's gotten really sweaty and dirty. And he's been fasting all day. So he's really, really hungry. And so he's thinking about what he might be eating at the iftar, which is the special meal that happens when they break their fast. And so he's thinking about all these glorious foods that the wealthiest man in the town is hosting an iftar and invited all the people in the town to come to it. So he thinks about, there will be olives. Olives at this meal, great olives, and bread and hummus. But best of all, and this is what I really want you to pay attention to, best of all are the desserts. The desserts like dates and baklava. And so I want you to help me tell this story. I'm going to be saying that best of all desserts, dates and baklava. And when I say dates and, I want you to join in with baklava. Can you practice that now? Say baklava. Okay. So on with the story. So Nasruddin arrives at this host house where there's going to be this glorious feast. And when he gets there, he had already decided that he wasn't going to change his clothes and get all cleaned up. So he still had on his farm clothes from working in the fields all day. So he goes there and the host sees him and he looks him down from the top of his head down to his dirty shoes that have gotten all muddy. And he just moves aside a little bit. He doesn't even welcome him. He doesn't even welcome. He just lets him scoot in. And then Nasruddin goes in there and nobody pays any attention to him. They don't welcome him. They don't say a word to him. And even the tables are already full with all those good foods like olives and bread with hummus, and best of all, the desserts like dates and baklava. That's right. And so Nasruddin, because he isn't greeted and welcomed by all the people, he has to reach around to get any food to put it on his plate. So he can't really comfortably get the food. And then nobody's talking to him, so he feels all by himself, all by himself. And so you know what he decides to do? He decides to go home. So he goes home and he cleans himself up, takes a little shower and cleans himself up, and he puts on his finest clothes. He puts on his fine coat. So he goes back, and this time he's greeted by the person that's the host, and the host welcomes him. Oh, Nasruddin, it's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome here. Come on in. And all the people from every corner, from the furthest corner of the room, they're all saying, oh, come here, Nasruddin, please sit with us. What's that all about? And so he sits down very quietly and he just is silent for a minute. And then, you know what he does? He starts grabbing some things from the tables. First, he grabs olives and he stuffs them in his pocket. And he says, eat, coat, eat. And then he finds delicious bread and hummus. He puts it in his pocket and he says, eat, coat, eat. And best of all, are you ready for it? The desserts, like dates. There may be some leftovers after the service. Some dates and baklava. So he stuffs them all in his pockets and says, eat, coat, eat. And then the host comes up to him and he says, well, what in the world are you doing there, Nasruddin? Why are you filling your pockets and feeding your coat? And Nasruddin says, well, when I was in my farm clothes, my dirty clothes, then no one spoke to me. But when I put on my fancy coat, then everyone greeted me warmly. And that is the end of that part of the story. But I still have a question for you. So I wonder if you all can help me think about what the host and the guest might have learned from what Nasruddin told them about feeling unwelcome and then feeling like he was accepted for his coat. Any ideas? Yeah? Do you think they might have changed how they acted to guests and to other people? Yeah, maybe so. Anybody else have any ideas how that might have changed? Ethan? Yeah. So they ignored him because of the way he looked, huh? Yeah. So that might be a lesson for all of us to think about that people are more than what they appear to be on the outside. It's what's inside their hearts. And to be welcoming and respectful and friendly to folks. And so, my friends, this is now your story for you to ponder and to wonder about. Hey, let's sing our children to their RE classes.
For our time of centering and sharing, I offer this poem by Mary Oliver called Praying. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention, then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. Let's now share a few moments in the shared silence. We are an interconnected community that cares for one another. Part of how we embody this care is by making time each week to share the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts. As is our practice, you are invited to come forward now and place a glass stone in a communal bowl of water as a symbolic act of each being held by the larger love that holds us all. Those online may type their joys and sorrows into the chat. Angela Orball from our pastoral care team will also come forward to help hold the space. Angela will be available for a few minutes after the service in the back corner of the sanctuary if you are in need of pastoral support or just need someone to listen. Those worshiping online can contact the pastoral care team at pastoral@ucharlottesville.org. Let us begin our ritual of joys and sorrows. This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our social action collection for the month of March is for Cultivate Charlottesville, whose mission is to engage youth and community in building equitable, sustainable food systems through garden-based experiential learning, growing and sharing healthy food, and amplifying community leaders while advocating for food justice. Their approach centers racial equity as we grow with students, neighbors, and others working to take Charlottesville from a foodie place to a food equity city where all residents can thrive. Rachel, will you please show us the social action slide for giving for those who would like to make a donation right now? In addition to giving online, if you would like to give today with cash or check, please use the social action collection envelopes here in the sanctuary and place your offering in the collection plate. Please do not seal the envelopes as we reuse them. Along with our social action collection, each week we invite everyone into the spiritual practice of generosity by giving to the ministry of our congregation. Through your pledges and with the weekly Sunday morning offering, together, our financial gifts and support sustain our congregation. This is our shared ministry. During the music that follows, you may choose to make your Sunday morning offering by using the text address or going to our website. Here in the sanctuary, you may place cash or checks in the collection plates as they are passed. Let us now dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good."
As always, we thank you so very much for your kindness and your generosity. Our reading this morning is Surprise, Surprise, a Mary Oliver poem. The poem we're about to share is, I think, one that has been especially meaningful for Unitarian Universalists. One reason perhaps because it's in the back of our hymnal. There are 3 Mary Oliver poems in the gray hymnal in the back, and this is, I think, perhaps the best known. It's Wild Geese, and again, read by Mary Oliver.
Wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
I think it was about a dozen years ago or so that I had the privilege of hearing Mary Oliver read Wild Geese in person at the General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. She was delivering our very prestigious Ware lecture that year. Never heard a Ware lecture quite like it. It was pretty much a poetry reading. Ware lecture is oftentimes a very inspiring kind of call to social justice, but it was pretty special. And I also, of course, had become familiar with Wild Geese by reading it in the back of our hymnal. But there's nothing like, as you just experienced, hearing Mary Oliver share that poem, or any of her poems for that matter. I'm not sure what it is about Wild Geese or about Mary Oliver's poetry in general that keeps calling to me, that keeps calling to so many Unitarian Universalists. For the last, I really don't know how many years it is, 40, 50, maybe more, her poems have been read and reread at Unitarian Universalist worship services, at covenant groups and other spiritual gatherings, as opening and closing words at board meetings or other committee meetings, and well, just about anywhere UUs gather. Now, as you've already heard this morning, Mary Oliver's poems return again and again to the awe-inspiring beauty of nature, which I know resonates with many, most in our faith tradition and in this congregation. But I think there's something else about her poems and the vision of life and existence that they convey. Something that touches and speaks to the heart and soul of Unitarian Universalism, and that has led many of us to assume that Mary Oliver herself must have been a UU. She wasn't. She was an Episcopalian. And to consider her kind of the poet laureate of Unitarian Universalism. I've certainly referred to her that way many times, but we don't have such a title, but you know, whatever. Now, before I say a little more about Mary Oliver's resonance with Unitarian Universalism, I want to thank those of you who shared their favorite Mary Oliver poems this week. Wild Geese was one of those poems, The Summer Day and Praying, which Tori read a few minutes ago. So what is it about Mary Oliver's work that touches so many in our tradition? Needless to say, if we took a survey, we'd probably get quite an array of different answers. That's pretty much true of all surveys in Unitarian Universalism. But from my conversations with UUs over the years and from my own reading of her wonderful poems, I think much of her UU appeal can be found in Wild Geese. Think for a moment about its opening lines. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Every time I read those lines, I think to myself, what an amazing, almost perfect vision in only 3 short lines of what it means to be human. You don't have to be someone you're not, or live up to the expectations, demands, or judgments of others. Being fully alive, being fully human, simply means letting the soft animal of your body, of your being, of your soul, love what it loves. As she says near the end of Wild Geese, whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, announcing your place in the family of things. And if we are able to let go of what is not us, if we are able to take off the masks that we are so often compelled to wear, what we discover is a world that calls to us over and over again with its beauty and its blessings. A world that enables us to start our days in happiness and in kindness. The necessity of simply being ourselves and living lives of authenticity that so many of Mary Oliver's poems lift up remind me of the work of another writer and poet who is beloved in our faith, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So many of Emerson's essays invite us to let go of the conformity and the dogmas we are expected to accept, and instead to live lives of genuine authenticity, lives in which we continually question and experience things for ourselves, rather than blindly accepting the dogmas and doctrines of old. I'm sure it probably won't come as a surprise to you that Mary Oliver greatly admired Emerson, and she wrote a wonderful introduction to a volume of Emerson's writing, which I happen to own, in which she celebrates his unwillingness to offer narrow or absolute answers, but instead to open doors of awareness and attentiveness so that we might look at things for ourselves. I can't think of a better characterization, not only of Emerson's work, but of Mary Oliver's as well. And that unwillingness to offer narrow or absolute answers, but instead to invite us to seek and search for ourselves, leads to another characteristic of Mary Oliver's poetic vision that is especially meaningful for me, and that has had a powerful influence on my understanding of theology, religion, life, myself. So if you'll allow me, I'd like to share a remarkable poem with you called "What Is There Beyond Knowing?" This is by Mary Oliver. What is there beyond knowing that keeps calling to me? I can't turn in any direction, but it's there. I don't mean the leaves' grip and shine, or even the thrush's silk song, but the far-off fires, for example, of the stars, heaven's slowly turning theater of light, or the wind, playful with its breath, or time that's always rushing forward, or standing still in the same, what shall I say, moment. What I know, I could put into a pack as if it were bread and cheese and carry it on one shoulder. Important and honorable, but oh so small. While everything else continues, unexplained and unexplainable. How wonderful it is to follow a thought quietly to its logical end. I have done this a few times, but mostly I just stand in the dark field in the middle of the world, breathing in and out. Life so far doesn't have any other name but breath and light, wind and rain. If there's a temple, I haven't found it yet. I simply go on drifting in the heaven of the grass and the weeds. What is there beyond knowing by Mary Oliver? Now, I could go on and on about why this poem means so much to me, about why it, more than anything I've ever read, and certainly way better than anything I've ever written, describes my theology, my understanding of divine mystery, and really my spiritual journey. So much of life and so much of the world remains unexplained and unexplainable. And what I truly know would undoubtedly fit in something way smaller than Mary Oliver's knapsack. But as she so beautifully reminds me, it's okay not to have all the answers or even any answers. It's okay to search and to seek, to wander and to drift. And it's heavenly just to sit in a dark field in the weeds and the grass, experiencing beauty, peace, and serenity. And that, friends, is why Mary Oliver will always touch my life and my spirit, and why I think she offers Unitarian Universalism such a compelling vision of what it means to be human and, yes, to be whole. Life isn't about having all the answers to the mysteries of existence. Life isn't about living up to or conforming to the judgments and expectations of others, of society, or of religion. Life, Mary Oliver teaches us, is about listening and experiencing, breathing and savoring, wandering and, yes, drifting. And in those moments, when a glimmer of truth, when a small speck of meaning shines brightly in the awe-inspiring mystery, Mary Oliver reminds us to slow down, to listen, and then perhaps to patch a few words together so that we can open a doorway into thanks and into a silence in which another voice can speak. We are so blessed that Mary Oliver spent much of her life patching those words together and opening so many doorways into gratitude and beauty, awe and wonder, peace and love. Thank you so much for listening. And a reminder that if you'd like to talk a little bit more about Mary Oliver, please join me in the parlor around 12:30. Amen. Now for our closing hymn, would you please rise in body or spirit? Let's join in singing number 163 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will also be on the screen. For the earth forever turning. Please rise. our closing words, I invite you to be seated. For our closing words, Tori and I are going to share a final Mary Oliver poem with you called When Death Comes. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn.
When death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut.
When death comes like the measles pox. When death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades.
I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness?
And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity another possibility.
And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending, as all music does, toward silence. And each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth.
When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms.
When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument.
I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing Mary Oliver with all of us. Again, please join us in the social hall for a meal packet assembly, I don't know if that's the right word. Make a pledge if you haven't. I had to get that in there one more time. And then I hope to see some of you in the parlor around 12:30, and we'll talk some more Mary Oliver. Blessed be, and go in peace. Should we extinguish the cello?